Now come to order. At this time, I would like to ask all unauthorized persons to exit the chamber. I'd like to recognize the distinguished senator from the mountains.
Hey, I saw it flashing. It's a great day at our state capitol, and the men and women here in the Senate are ready to work for the people of Georgia. A moment in history, this date in 1838, the first gold rush in America, the Dahlonega Mint officially opened for business. And also, on this very date, many, many years ago, the gentleman from Toccoa sold a pig to the former governor, Nathan Deal, and today is his birthday. The journal's been read and found to be correct.
Thank you for that wisdom. Is there objection to dispensing with the reading of the journal? Hearing none, the reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills or resolutions to introduce, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. Mr. Secretary, first reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions.
Senate Bill 85 by Senator Hinson, the 41st, and others. The bill we title enactment Article 1 of Chapter 1A of Title 20 of the OCGA, relating to general provisions relative to early care and learning, so as to establish an early child care scholarship program.
Education.
Senate Bill 86 by Senator Moles, the 53rd. A bill we title enactment Part 14 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the OCGA, relating to other educational programs under the Quality Basic
Education.
Senate Bill 87 by Senator Tillery of the 19th. A bill would be titled enactment and act providing for the members of the Toombs County Development Authority, approved March 2nd.
State and local government.
Senate Bill 88 by Senator Redd of the 33rd and others. A bill we titled enactment Article 3 of Chapter 7 Title 48 of the OCGA, relating to tax returns and furnishing of information, so as to authorize Georgia taxpayers to
Finance.
Senate Bill 89 by Senator Parent of the 42nd and others. A bill we titled enactment and act providing a new charter for the city of Decatur, approved April 13, 2001, as amended, particularly by
State and local government.
Senate Bill 90 by Senators Karen Shack of the 48th and others. A bill we titled enactment Chapter 24 of Title 33 of the OCGA, relating to insurance generally, so as to require certain health insurers to cover emergency.
Health.
Mr. President, that concludes the order.
First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions.
House Bill 23 by Representative Houston of the 170th and others. The bill with title enactment Title 46 of the OCGA, relating to public utilities and public transportation, so as to specifically authorize electric
Regulated industries.
House Bill 62 by Representative Cooper of the 43rd and others. The bill with title enactment Article 1 of Chapter 1 of Title 31 of the OCGA, relating to general provisions relating to
Health and Human Services.
Mr. President, that concludes the order.
Secretary will now read reports of standing committees.
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Public Safety has had our consideration of following legislation instructing with the same back to the Senate following recommendation. Senate Bill 3 do pass. Senate Bill 6 do pass by substitute. Senator Albers the 56th. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary has had our consideration of following legislation instructing with the same back to the Senate following recommendation. Senate Bill 52 do pass. Senate House Bill 28 do pass. Senator Stone of the 23rd. Mr. President, that concludes the order.
Secretary will now read bills and resolutions for the second time.
Mr. President, there are no second readers.
It is now time for our morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? Chair recognizes the senator from the 33rd.
Good morning, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 38th for business outside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 38th is excused. The chair recognizes the senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent the gentleman from the 20th be excused for business outside the chamber.
Without objection, the senator from the 20th is excused. Chair recognizes the senator from the 28th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 25th for business outside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 25th is excused. Any other motions to excuse? Secretary will call the roll of the senators. Signify your presence by voting the yea switch. The secretary will unlock the machine. It is now time for our morning devotional. All senators, please take your seats and cease audible conversations. Doorkeepers, please secure the doors. This time, I'd like to recognize a senator from the 10th to lead us in our pledge and to introduce our chaplain of the day.
Are we standing for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Georgia flag? I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and the principles in which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation. It is indeed a great honor for me today to introduce our pastor of the day, someone who I would like to say is homegrown in this chamber. Our pastor for today is Elam Jones, my son, and when Elam first got introduced to this chamber, he was 9 years old. Elam is a young man that my wife and I affectionately say we birthed but God raised. A graduate summa cum laude of DePaul University. He is currently attending Harvard University to complete his master's in divinity, and he's also an ensign in the Navy. Something that I would like to share with my son and words that I prepared for him, and I've tried for a long time to try and get him to come and be a part of this moment. But I just want to remind my son that when he speaks, that he should speak the word of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. But I also want to remind my son that in this world, where sometimes facts can be presented as reality and lies and falsehoods can be peddled as truths, I want to remind my son that it's incumbent on him to stand for truth and to stand on the principles of which this country was founded. I remember a saying that I would share with my son, and I'm glad to have my oldest son and my wife here with us today. I would always tell him, I would say, son, life, this race that we call life is not always won by the swiftest, but it's won by those who endure to the end. And I know Elam Jones is prepared to run the race of his life with all the great things that he's done just in his short 24 years. And I am so proud of him and the steps that he's taken in being ordained 2 years ago by my pastor at Shiloh Baptist and now completing his theology degree. Please let me present to you and introduce to others our pastor today, Elam David Jones.
To Lieutenant Governor Duncan and to the Honorable Emmanuel Jones, who, if you could not tell by the resemblance, I've known for quite a few years, and to the members of the Georgia State Senate and all who have gathered today, it is both a privilege and an honor to address you. I'd like to take up a word from the Lord found in the book of Exodus, the 14th chapter, verses 15 through 16, which places us in a narrative around the time that God begins to lead the Israelites out of bondage in the land of Egypt with the permission of the Egyptian leader, who sometime soon after experiences a change of heart and decides to send troops after the Israelites to chase them down. Chapter 14 brings us to the tail end of this chase, a moment when we all expect the tortoise to still somehow manage to outrun the hare, the protagonists of any story to take hold of the courage necessary to defy the odds and overcome all obstacles. In Exodus, however, prospects for such a moment appear surprisingly grimmer for the Israelites, who now find themselves standing at the edge of the Red Sea on one end and encircled by Egyptian chariots on all others. As panic begins to settle in for the Israelites, Moses, who was appointed over them with nothing more than a staff which the Lord had prepared for him to defend his cause, looks to God for further direction, a way out of what seems to be no way. And in response, in verses 15 through 16, God simply says, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to break camp. As for you, lift up your staff, stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it so that the Israelites can go through on dry ground." Writer and poet J.R.R. Tolkien once wrote that courage is usually found in unlikely places. It makes sense then that in the midst of many crying out, God's response consists of reminding one to look within and around and at all that God has put in him and placed at his disposal to prepare him for this leadership role. For it is in these places that one finds courage. Courage that takes the form of an enduring strength, tethered to hope and animated by ideas and beliefs in alternative futures, and understood in relation to the claim that when we dig deep and take stock of our many gifts, resources, and talents, we realize that there is more in us than the worlds we create. I believe this to be particularly true for many sitting in this room today. For as lawmakers, leaders, role models, I'm certain there have been, and you can let me know if I'm wrong, moments, and will continue to be moments, when it may seem that everything around you has conspired to put you in between a rock and a hard place. An ocean and an army, with those you represent standing by in real, immediate need. And you standing in the face of doubt, exhaustion, and the throes of life as we know it. In moments like these, when what needs to be accomplished is overwhelmingly difficult for you, but undeniably necessary for so many others, you must have courage. For it is only with courage, both physical and moral, that one can access the untiring capacity to face the seemingly impossible, to fight for what is right, to stand for a truth that recognizes the voices of the ordinary, marginalized, and even the dissenting, to resist becoming well-adjusted to injustice, to challenge the spiritual collapse of integrity, honesty, and decency, to look to the future while remaining intimately invested in the present experiences of all of those around you. I think that Ralph Emerson summarized it best when he wrote that whatever you do, you need courage. Whatever course you decide upon, there will always be someone to tell you that you are wrong. There are always difficulties arising that tempt you to believe your critics are right. To map out a course of action and follow it to an end requires some of the same courage that a soldier needs. Peace has its victory, but it takes brave men and women to win them. So as God reminds Moses, I stand here today to remind you, when so many cry out, be the one who continually looks within, for there lays your courage. Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for the members of this assembly. I ask that you always be present with them, their families, and those they represent, guiding them to make good, wise, and ethical decisions on behalf of all who live in Georgia, and reminding each one of the courage within them. I pray this in your name. Amen.
At this time, I'd like to call on the senator from the 52nd to recognize some special guests that we have in the gallery.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to congratulate the Coosa High School girls volleyball team that are up in our gallery today. They have been the area champions for 5 years in a row, and now they're the state champions in volleyball for 2 years in a row. And that's on the west side of the Rome, Georgia area, one of our great high schools there. They also got an award from the volleyball conference, the National Volleyball Conference, for their high GPA as well. We're honored for having that. So if those members could stand up that are here. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Are there any unanimous consents? We have some special guests with us today that we'd like to recognize. Will the Secretary read a resolution?
Senate Resolution 86 by Senator Beach of the 21st and others, a resolution commending the Greater North Fulton Chamber of Commerce and for other purposes. Whereas the Greater North Fulton Chamber of Commerce was created in 1973 to serve as a catalyst for economic growth for North Fulton County, whereas the Greater North Fulton Chamber of Commerce is composed of more than 1,000 members from a variety of backgrounds who work together to provide North Fulton County and the state of Georgia with the best business climate possible, and whereas it is abundantly fitting and proper that the Greater North Fulton Chamber of Commerce receive the recognition of this body, now therefore be resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend the Greater North Fulton Chamber of Commerce. That concludes the order.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. I'd like to call upon the senator from the 21st for the purpose of introducing our special guest today.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great honor for me today to have my Chamber of Commerce down here, the Greater North Fulton Chamber of Commerce. And for those of you who know, it's really near and dear to my heart because I served as the president and CEO for 15 years of this organization. And let me tell you, this organization gets it. They understand business and business policy and community. And they're all about the business community, but they're about the community. They haven't forgot that word. And, we're the #1 state to do business 6 years running because North Fulton is an economic engine in our state. And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens because of the leadership standing behind me. And I'd like to introduce the president and CEO, Callie Boatwright is here. We have the chairman, Bill Bland. We have Alan Najar, who's the incoming chair, Trey Ragsdale and Mark Goodman, who are board members, and I'm joined up here by Kay Kilpatrick. But I just want to tell you, this organization is very vital to North Fulton, and they are not just vital to the business community, but to the community. And with that, I'd like to ask Bill Bland to say a few words about the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Brandon, very much. My name's Bill Bland. I'm with Choate Construction, 2019 Chamber. Chairman, I want to recognize our guests in the up front, up top. Please stand up. This is our guys here, guys and gals who represent the Chamber. Georgia's the #1 place. Thank you. Georgia's the #1 place to do business, and North Fulton helps create that environment. North Fulton, we create business, we promote business, and we support business. So, Brandon, thank you so much for this proclamation. We're very proud of it. Thank you.
Thankful for this group. I live just a few exits north and grew up in this area, and I want to truly just thank you for your efforts and the example you set for the entire state and the economic team that you put together. Thank you. We have some additional special guests today that we'd like to recognize. Will the Secretary read a resolution?
Senate Resolution 143 by Senators Walker of the 20th and others, a resolution congratulating and honoring the city of Cochran on its historic 150th anniversary and for other purposes. Whereas B.B. Dykes settled the community of Dykesboro in the 1850s in a rural location 40 miles southeast of Macon, Georgia, and 30 miles west of Dublin, Georgia. Whereas Dykesboro was renamed as the city of Cochran upon its incorporation by the General Assembly on March 19, 1869. Whereas the city of Cochran has grown and prospered as a rural community for 150 years and is the county seat and only incorporated municipality in Bleckley County. And whereas the city of Cochran will celebrate its sesquicentennial birthday on March 19, 2019, and the city is planning a week-long historical celebration to honor the birthday of the town. Now therefore be resolved by the Senate of the members of this body congratulate and honor the city of Cochran on its sesquicentennial birthday on March 19, 2019, in which much bountiful prosperity to the city of Cochran throughout this year of 2019, every year into the future. That concludes the order.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. I'd like to call upon the senator from the 20th to introduce our special guest today.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a real honor for me today to have the folks from the city of Cochran here with us as they get ready to celebrate their 150th birthday. Cochran was incorporated in 1869. That's a long time ago. It's named after Judge Arthur Cochran, who served in the Georgia General Assembly. Cochran is a wonderful community. It's a great place to live, work, and play. It's got the warmest people I've ever met anywhere, and I invite you to come visit Cochran when you get a chance. It's also the home of the historic campus of Middle Georgia State University, a very beautiful campus, and we're very proud of that. With me on the dais today, I have Mayor Billy Yeomans, City Manager Richard Newbern, City Councilwoman Regina Gooch, City Councilman Andrew Lemon, and the Development Authority and Chamber President Nicole Ward. Also with us today, I think we have some folks from Cochran in the gallery. Please give them in the gallery a warm welcome. And now I'm going to call on Mayor Yeomans to give us a few words from the city of Cochran. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Walker. I'd like to thank you for arranging this for us to be up here. I'd like to tell everybody sitting in this building that I have the distinct honor and privilege of being the mayor of the best city in the state of Georgia, Cochran. And I truly believe that. Thank y'all for everything you do for us, and we would invite all of you down to our 150th anniversary next month. It's something that's only going to happen once in all of our lifetimes. So we truly invite you down, and thank you again for everything you do. Thank you, Senator Walker.
Go over here and take a picture. We have some additional special guests today that we would like to recognize. Will the Secretary read the resolution?
Senate Resolution 82 by Senators Harper the 7th and others, a resolution commending the Georgia Young Farmers Association and recognizing February 12, 2019 as Young Farmers Day at the state capitol and for other purposes. Whereas the Georgia Young Farmers Association was founded in 1970 to serve as the primary adult education delivery system for young Georgia farmers, and today stands as the nation's largest affiliate within the Young Farmers Association network with 57 chapters and 5,854 members. And whereas members of the Georgia Young Farmers Association render valuable service to their local communities through classes, field demonstrations, school tours, and a wide array of additional educational activities. Now therefore be resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend the Georgia Young Farmers Association for its contribution to the welfare of the state and nation through its important work educating future farmers, and recognize February 12, 2019 as Young Farmers Day at the state capitol. That concludes the order.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. I'd like to call upon the senator from the 7th to introduce our special guest today.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, as you know, every year we recognize one day during session as Young Farmer Day at the Capitol, and I just want to say, as a past president and still member of the Georgia Young Farmers Association, thank you for the support that we give in this body to our Young Farmer Association and our members and organizations throughout the state and the adult education programs that they provide to our farm families and our farmers and our ranchers across Georgia. Of the 57 chapters and almost 6,000 members, I know that they're very appreciative. Behind me this morning are some of the officers with the State Association, and I'm going to ask one of them to speak. But before I do, we have a lot of Georgia Young Farmer members in the gallery. I'm going to ask them to stand up this morning, and if you would join me in welcoming our young farmer crowd to the state capitol this morning, I would appreciate it. I'm going to turn the microphone over to the state president, Josh Gardner. Let him bring a few greetings on behalf of the association. Josh?
Yes, sir. As Senator Harper has said, I do have the privilege to serve as the 2019 president of the greatest young farmer organization in the United States. As president this 2019, we have a bunch of exciting things to look forward to. This coming January, we'll be having our 50th banquet in Jekyll Island. We'd like to invite every one of you to come be a part of that. 2018-2019 year for the Georgia Young Farmer was a very busy and productive year where we had the opportunity to come to the Senate and be able to do a bunch of cool things throughout the year. We just got done celebrating our 49th convention in Augusta, Georgia, where we had the privilege to give out awards and give out scholarships to 5 students that will continue their education in the agriculture field. We ended our year, the 2018-2019 year, with over 5,700 members. And so we're so excited to be able to tell you today that we're growing and continue to grow, and a lot of that comes back to you that support us. As I think about the 49 years that we've been able to call ourselves the Georgia Young Farmers, I think of 4 different things that have helped us to get to where we are today. First of all, as Mr. Harper, Senator Harper, has recognized just a few minutes ago, is all the advisors that we have. We've got the greatest advisors in the United States that work hard to continue the education in the agriculture field. Second of all would be our 5,700 members that help continue to make agriculture here in the state of Georgia the greatest agriculture state in the United States. Amen. And so we're blessed with the greatest farmers in America. Third of all would be this board that Senator Harper has had the privilege to serve as president, and we have a great board that works hard to continue to help grow this organization. But fourth of all, and I think this is one of the most important, would be you, the legislators, that have believed in an organization that helps continue education for these adult farmers to continue to make farming in the state of Georgia the greatest farming state in the United States. So on behalf of myself and the other 5,700 members of the Georgia Young Farmers, thank you for what you mean to us and what you've done for our organization and this great state. So thank you.
Man, you running for office?
At this time, I'd like to call upon our pro tem to introduce some special guests to us this morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. It gives me a great pleasure to be before this august body this morning to recognize the Georgia Council of Teachers of Mathematics. These educators focus on preschool to graduate school, focusing and directing attention in the field of mathematics, its teachers and its students, building great careers for great young people in Georgia. I'd like to call upon their president to say a few words.
Thank you, and thank you for the recognition for Math Day and its importance in math education in the state of Georgia. As representatives of the Executive Board of GCTM, we appreciate the support of education and for mathematics education in particular. Thank you.
Thank you all. Hey, we'll go right here for a We have some additional special guests with us today that we'd like to recognize. Will the Secretary read the resolution?
Senate Resolution 58 by Senators Wilkinson of the 50th and others. A resolution recognizing February 12, 2019 as Georgia Farm Bureau Federation Day at the State Capitol and for other purposes. Whereas from its humble beginnings in Northwest Georgia, the Georgia Farm Bureau Federation has grown to 158 county chapters with a current membership of 272,410 led by volunteer farmer members. And whereas this outstanding federation of Georgia farmers has become a diversified organization which focuses on service to its members and the improvement of Georgia agriculture. And whereas it is abundantly fitting and proper that the Georgia Farm Bureau Federation and its members be appropriately recognized for their many years of dedicated service to Georgia agriculture. Now therefore be resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize February 12, 2019 as Georgia Farm Bureau Federation Day at the State Capitol and for other purposes. Mr. President, that concludes the order.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. I'd like to call upon the senator from the 50th to introduce our special guests of the day.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. It's a real honor for me to have the opportunity to present the resolution for Georgia Farm Bureau Federation Day at the Capitol and to have the leadership with us of an organization that represents over 250,000 Georgians. There are farm bureaus in 158 out of 159 counties in our state, and I know they're still working on that number 159, but I would just like to introduce the state officers for the Georgia Farm Bureau Federation. If you raise your hand, our South Region Vice President Daniel Johnson, our Middle Georgia Vice President, I believe our Executive Vice President, is that correct? First Vice President, I'm Robert Fountain Jr. from Emmanuel County, and then we've got one of the North Georgia Vice Presidents who requires a lot of supervision, and he has his state senator with him today, Bernard Sims, who's a North Georgia Vice President, and I don't know who this other guy is. He's a kind of an imposter. But anyway, and then of course Mr. Gerald Long, who's president of the Georgia Farm Bureau Federation from Bainbridge. Gerald is a great leader in agriculture, and of course there have been some trying times during the past few months, and even in Decatur County where Gerald farms. He may want to allude to that in his comments, but we appreciate the work Georgia Farm Bureau does. And Gerald wanted me to mention to you that they have representatives from the Farm Bureau from all over the state here today. They're hosting a lunch at the Freight Depot, I believe, beginning at 11:30. So I'd like to invite all of you to come and meet with the people from your county. So at this time, Gerald, I'm going to present this resolution to you and turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you as leaders to this great state for honoring us today, recognizing as Georgia Farm Bureau Day at the Capitol and the farmers that we represent. I am Gerald Long, as Chairman Wilkins said, from Decatur County. Diversified farmer. This was my 45th crop year. And ladies and gentlemen, I thought the droughts of 77 and 80 was bad. It's nothing compared to what we went through this past year. Never before have we harvested cotton in the following year, as we finally had to just stop harvesting due to conditions, and we're already breaking ground, getting ready to plant next week. So it has been a challenge, but just let me say thank you for the support that y'all have given agriculture. When y'all appropriated the funds, not only for farmers, but for rural Georgia during the cleanup period. I'm sure most of you have been down there. It is unbelievable. It's still unbelievable to this day how many houses still have the blue tarps on them, waiting to get repaired. That storm had a very, very long tail on it. It'll be many, many years before rural Georgia will recuperate from the damage that Hurricane Michael brought us. But with that being said, the sun came back out. We're still here. We're looking forward to another crop year. We're hoping it will be better. But as my father told me one time, son, I'll promise you one thing. I don't know if it'll be better, but it will be different. So that's what we're faced with. But with y'all's support and your help, you know, most of us will survive and be able to provide the food and fiber and fuel for this nation. I want y'all to continue to remember all the storm victims in your prayers and your support. But again, I just cannot tell you how much we're thankful for what Georgia has done to step up to the plate to help the largest industry in the state of Georgia, and that's agriculture. And y'all know our organization was founded in 1937 to represent agriculture in the legislative arena, and that is still our mission today. As Chairman Wilkins has said, certainly would like to invite each one of y'all at the luncheon at the depot today. Look forward to having y'all. Again, thank you for what you do because, you know, Mr. Chairman, as we came in this morning, people drove from all over the 158 counties. A lot of them drove into a jungle trying to get here with all the traffic. So I admire y'all for being able to come here and represent all of Georgia and what you do. Thank you very much.
We have an additional special guest with us today that we'd like to recognize. Will the Secretary read the resolution?
Senate Resolution 116 by Senators Jordan VI and others, a resolution recognizing February 12, 2019 as Dyslexia Day at the state capitol and urging schools, local educational agencies, and the state educational agency to address the profound educational impact of dyslexia and for other purposes. Whereas dyslexia is a specific learning disability that's neurological in origin, and whereas dyslexia is the most common learning disability, affecting approximately 1 in 5 individuals and approximately 80% of all individuals with a learning disability, whereas early diagnosis is critical to early remediation, with evidence-based intervention for individuals with dyslexia that leads to self-awareness, self-empowerment, self-esteem, and necessary accommodations to ensure student, school, and life success. Whereas it is abundantly fitting and proper to draw attention to the profound educational impact of dyslexia on the education and lives of countless children, adults, and students in the state of Georgia. Now therefore be resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize February 12, 2019 as Dyslexia Day at the state capitol and urge all schools, local, and state educational agencies and educators to recognize the profound educational impact of dyslexia. That concludes the order.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. I'd like to call upon the distinguished senator from the 6th to introduce our special guest of the day.
Good morning, Mr. President and members of the Senate. George Washington, Leonardo da Vinci, Walt Disney, Albert Einstein, Steven Spielberg, Ted Turner, Robert Woodruff. Those are all men who had dyslexia. And standing with me today are some of the most brilliant residents of District 6 here to celebrate and advocate during Dyslexia Day at the Capitol. As many of you know, my family is familiar with dyslexia and the struggle that accompanies it, especially in a school environment. So today we are recognizing all of the children, all of the adults, all the parents and educators who have struggled with dyslexia in trying to remediate so many students in this state. One very famous dyslexic, Benjamin Franklin, said, "An investment in knowledge pays the best interest," which is why I hope this year we will finally pass new and helpful legislation, whether it takes the form of early screening or Orton-Gillingham training for teachers and administrators. Investing in education is one of the best things we can do, especially for dyslexic students who tend to be incredibly creative and out-of-the-box thinkers. I would also like to thank each and every teacher in the 6th District, from specialists at the Skank School and the Speech School to the ever-impressive Lake Forest Elementary. After training its teachers to use the Orton-Gillingham method, Lake Forest has taken its percentage of students reading on grade level in 1st grade from 60% to 82% in just 4 years. They are all doing incredibly noble work. And to quote the Founding Father one last time, "Well done is better than well said." With that, I would love for Tina Imberg from Decoding Dyslexia to say a few words as I present the resolution. Thank you, Tina, for all of your work.
It is an honor to speak to you all today. Decoding Dyslexia Georgia is a grassroots organization. We don't even have a 501c3 or a telephone number, but we are a committed group of parents from across the state who are devoted to helping our children through their education as dyslexics. We have a fantastic population of children. Our children are amazing. What they go through on a day-to-day basis in school is somewhat less than amazing. And Senate Bill 48 would go a very long way in not only helping our students, but bringing us up to speed in Georgia in relation to other states across the nation which have taken steps to address dyslexia in their code. We really, truly appreciate your support. Thank you.
At this time, we'd like to recognize the Doctor of the Day, which I was slow to recognize. I'd like to recognize the Senator from the 48th.
Good morning. As you folks may know, today is Korean American Day. Today is Korean American Day. So I want to say, we have the distinct honor of having Dr. Meek-Young Kim as our Doctor of the Day. Dr. Kim is a practicing internist in Atlanta, Georgia, and an assistant professor of medicine at the Emory University School of Medicine. She graduated from the Medical College of Georgia at Augusta University and has been in practice for over 26 years. She completed a residency at Emory University School of Medicine and currently practices at Emory Clinic Perimeter and is affiliated with Emory St. Joseph Hospital. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Kim.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Senators. My name is Dr. Mi-Young Kim. I'm an assistant professor of medicine at Emory University School of Medicine. I've been practicing here in the Atlanta area for over 20 years. My area is internal medicine and primary care, and I have a heart for preventive health. I get asked often, Doc, what can I do to make myself be healthier? And the advice I give most consistency is exercise. The human body is made for movement, but as we become more successful in life, we become sedentary. So I encourage all of you, walk 30 minutes every day. It is one of the best things that you can do for yourself. Always move forward. It is my honor and pleasure to be your Doctor of the Day. Thank you.
Great advice. At this time, we'd like to recognize any senators that wish to rise on a point of personal privilege. Chair calls on the senator from the 13th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I want to introduce to you Ashley Bratcher, who lives in Marietta, Georgia, and she is the lead actress to portray Abby Johnson in the highly anticipated film Unplanned. This is a true story of Abby Johnson's inspiring transformation from a Planned Parenthood clinic director to becoming a pro-life activist. Mitch Harbison is someone that I have met, or actually our wives have met, and became friends, and he has invited us, and I sent out an invitation to all of you for a special preview of this movie, Unplanned. And so if you want to go to that, please come see me at my desk, and I'll make sure that can happen for you. But I sent that invitation out. I just want you to know that with all that's going on in our country today and all that you're hearing, all of a sudden abortion is on the front pages again. And this is a movie that I think is going to have a profound impact on a lot of people's lives. So please go out and support this, these Georgia people who are making great movies here and support that industry. But also, more importantly in this movie, is the message. So thank you.
At this time, I'd like to recognize the senator from the 41st.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. I know that one thing we all appreciate is people who care about our government and who are involved making our government better. You know, we're Democrats and Republicans. In this chamber, though, we try to act without really worrying about party affiliation, but acting in the best interest of all of Georgians. But we know that people are involved in our local communities and often involved in political parties. We have a group here of dedicated Democratic Federation of Women here, and I want to thank them for their involvement working in the community. If you'd stand up, and I want to thank you so much for being here today and for your involvement. And we also, you know, as a bipartisan measure, we appreciate people of both parties. People who are involved, whether Democrat or Republican, are making our state better and stronger. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 54th.
Thank you, Mr. President, and fellow colleagues. I'd like to take the opportunity to recognize Leadership Dalton Whitfield class of 2019 in the gallery. Leadership Dalton Whitfield is an amazing opportunity. It is truly where tomorrow's leaders are born in Northwest Georgia. So if those in the gallery, if y'all please stand and let us recognize you, if you would. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 44th.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'm delighted to welcome some constituents from the 44th Senate District, from the Martha Ellen Stilwell School of the Arts, and the instructors, Mr. Mark Demasio, Mr. James Holmes, Ms. Greer Davis, and Mr. Keela Jones. If you're in the gallery, would you please stand? I see them up there. Wave your hands. Clayton County finest, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Thank you, Senator. The chair would like to recognize the senator from the 6th.
All politics is personal, that's what they say. And what we know is that the political is the personal. On this Dyslexia Day, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about my son, Richard Lawton Jordan IV. It's a big name, isn't it? So I'm from Dodge County, so I call him Bubba. Bubba's my firstborn and might be the kindest and gentlest soul on the earth. He's artistic. Some of y'all have seen his art of late. But when he was in the first grade, his teachers identified an issue. He could not read. You know, I was devastated because reading really was my path out of poverty. And that's what lawyers do, right? That's all we do. It's necessary to every function of life and in terms of employability and opportunity. Now, we were lucky. In the 6th district, we have the Skank School. We have the speech school. He was remediated after tremendous amounts of time, efforts, tutors, and tremendous amounts of money. And let me tell you something, a lot of it was because of the tremendous heart of my Bubba. So just to show you what this type of remediation can do for these kids, he could not read when he was in 2nd grade. He is in the 8th grade now. Last year, he was accepted into the Duke TIP program, Duke University's Talent Identification Program, because he scored in the 95th percentile on the ACT for reading and writing. That is what can happen when these children are identified and they are remediated. I want that for all of Georgia's children. I want that for all of the kids in Dodge County and South Georgia and these rural areas. We see these numbers where kids aren't reading at grade level in the 3rd grade. I will tell you that is because of dyslexia. Now, one of the things that was most disheartening is, as with every parent, once we got the diagnosis, I started to Google things, which you should not do. And I will tell you that the prison and dyslexia correlation is all too real. But when you start to dig into the numbers, you realize that those are the children that aren't identified. Those are the children that are not remediated in our public school system in this state. SB 48 is the right step. It's the right first step, and it's the right thing for all of Georgia's students. And thank God we had the ability to take care of my son, but I want that for everyone's. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 37th.
Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. It's my pleasure to recognize today as the Georgia Research Institute Day. We have 4 colleges and or 4 universities in the state that carry the R1 designation. These are doctoral universities that are rated very high with very high research activity by the Carnegie rating system. These 4 universities are Augusta University, Georgia Tech, Georgia State, and of course the University of Georgia. I'll give you some statistics about these 4 universities and the effect that they have in our economy and our society in Georgia today. First, Augusta University. With its home campus in Augusta, they claim that their campus is really Georgia, because they have locations in Rome, Savannah, Brunswick, Albany, and a partnership campus in Athens. It's the state's only public academic health center. Has 10 colleges and schools, which include the Medical College of Georgia, the Dental College of Georgia, and the newly formed College of Computer and Cyber Sciences. Has 56,000 plus alumni in this, with 36,000 of them residing in Georgia. Their students have opportunities to train at over 900 clinical training sites across the state. Secondly, Georgia Tech. It's number 8 public university in the nation. More than 32,500 traditional and online students in undergrad and graduate programs. It's conducted more than $892 million in research in the last year for government, industry, and other sponsors. The Advanced Technology Development Center has graduated more than 180 companies with a total annual revenue in Georgia of $12 billion and boasts the creation of 2,820 new jobs in the state. Last year's Georgia Tech's manufacturing extension helped 201 companies generate sales of $509 million to create or save more than 2,000 jobs and slash operating costs by $82 million. Quite a sizable impact on our economy. Georgia State University, 7 campuses throughout metro Atlanta. The university provides its world-class faculty and more than 51,000 students with unsurpassed connections to the opportunities available in one of the 21st century's great global cities. It's the second most innovative university in the United States. It's ranked as number 1 in the best value in law school and number 1 a public or nonprofit university in the U.S. to confer undergraduate degrees to African Americans. Lastly, the University of Georgia, more than 37,000 undergraduate and graduate students and more than 10,000 faculty and staff, has an annual estimated $6.3 billion economic impact in the state. Ranked number 13, the 13th public university in the U.S. by U.S. News and World Report. Ranked number 12, best value in public universities by Kiplinger's. Ranked number 1 among U.S. universities for driving new products into the marketplace. Every Georgia resident lives within 40 miles of a UGA resource. And it also has the Double Dogs program to provide pathways for students to earn a bachelor's and master's degree in 5 years or less. We have in our company today a delegation of the students from these 4 fine research universities in our balconies. I'd like to ask you to make them welcome and join me in proclaiming this is Georgia Research University Day. I ask you to stand.
Chair would like to recognize the pro tem.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think I've come to the well more on a point of personal privilege this year, more this year already than I have any other year since I've been serving in the Senate, and I think I came one time. So my point is that I don't come down here often. I'm going to ask the Senate to indulge me, if you would, on a 3 or 4 mornings. I'd like to talk about a few individuals in our community there in Hall County, Gainesville, Hall County. Most recently, we have lost 4 real pillars of our community. Gentlemen who were generous with their resources, philanthropic with their finances, sharing with their intellect, and encouraging with their spirit. 4 men. 4 men, you know, when you lose an individual in your community that's in his 80s or 90s, you're prepared for that. You're kind of expecting that at some point. At some point, we know we're going to deal with that. But we lost a 4th gentleman. 3 of these were in their senior years, 80s or 90s. But a gentleman we lost just a few days ago by the name of Jack Huff was 73 years old. And Jack leaves behind a son and a wife. His wife, Gail, was really and truly a great match for him. You could see that she completed him. She gave him joy and happiness. And I think in turn, the two of them both gave our community joy and happiness. Jack was involved with CASA on a personal basis. He and a number of other individuals in our community were involved with a charity by the name of We Care. And We Care provided Christmas for underprivileged children for many years in our many years in our community, and Jack was completely behind these causes. Jack was a business person. He pioneered a concept in restaurant innovation that in food courts and in airports, where you might have three concepts. Maybe you've got a Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Popeyes or a Pizza Hut, all with three storefronts, but only one kitchen. And he pioneered that concept and grew it all over the country. It was very, very successful. And as a demonstration of his care and his compassion toward others, a friend of ours in our community, close friend of my wife, close friend of Teresa's, she had recently lost her husband. And literally, she was in the beauty shop getting her hair done, and she was crying because she feared she was going to lose the family business. Jack Huff did not even know this lady, had never had a conversation with her, but was sitting in the next chair. And he overheard her spilling her heart to her hairdresser. And after Jack finished getting his hair cut, he went over to this young lady and said, he introduced himself and he said, "I'd like to help you." He said, "I do a lot of mentoring and financial planning and financial work in the community, and I'd like to help you. I just heard your story." Not only did he do this for free, gratis, he expected nothing in return, and he created a beautiful friendship between the two families. And this is the kind of individual Jack Huff was. But his life was cut short a few days ago when he was sitting at a drugstore waiting for his wife to come out. And he was the victim of an attempted robbery and lost his life. A great life cut short. A great life, a man who reached out to others, who encouraged others, who mentored others, who lifted others up. And it was really a difficult time in our community. And if I could ask the Senate body just to join me for a quick moment of prayer. And if you will share your own prayer for Jack Huff's family's healing. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate and Mr. President, thank you for indulging me.
Thank you, Senator. Chair would like to recognize the senator from the 35th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, I stand today for Morris Brown College, my alma mater. It is one of the Atlanta University schools, of course, with Morehouse, Clark, Spelman on the same campus area. And I am here because today we celebrate 138 years. And many of you may know that there were problems over about 10 years ago, and Morris Brown, as a result, lost his accreditation because of a president that did something illegal. All of that is resolved because we didn't die. We continued to survive and thrive. And we lost many of our buildings, and they belong now to the people who have the Mercedes-Benz stadium because it's just a few blocks from there. But we still have most of our buildings. So 138 years, and we're going to celebrate that in about a week. But today at 6 o'clock at the administration building right by the clock tower that most people notice on Martin Luther King, we are going to have a transitional prayer vigil. This was a school that was started by the African Methodist Episcopal Church 138 years ago at Big Bethel AME Church. That is right on Auburn Avenue, just a few miles from where I stand right now at this Capitol. And it is a real historic place. So please, some of the members were in the gallery, and I don't know if they are, but please give them a warm welcome. And happy birthday, Morris Brown, 138 years. So please join me. Thank you. Thank you. And Mr. President, I yield the well.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 29th. Senator from the 29th didn't mean to push his button. Recognize the senator from the 28th. Your seatmate might have had something to do with that.
In the spirit of bipartisan day, because we don't have any bills to vote on, we've got a Kumbaya Day. And on this Kumbaya Day, I want to invite everyone to have lunch over in the CLOB in room 505, where the Georgia Pest Control Association will be serving none other than Sprayberry's Barbecue, one of the finer treats out in Noonan, Georgia. So please come join us for lunch. And if you're headed to the depot for the Farm Bureau, you can grab you a little appetizer on the way down. So again, that's today. Be running until 1 o'clock in room 505 in CLOB. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 48th.
Good morning. Good morning. I rise today because we honor February 12th, 2019 as Korean American Day. And you may or may not know that on January 13th, 1903, the arrival of 102 pioneer immigrants to the United States initiated the beginning of Korean immigration to the United States. These pioneer Korean immigrants faced tremendous social and economic obstacles, as well as language barriers, to come to America, the land of opportunity. The first generation of Korean immigrants established a new home in a new land through resilience, tenacious effort, immense sacrifice, and became the bedrock for their children and future generations of Korean Americans. Notably, members of this Korean American community have served with distinction in the armed forces during the conflicts of World War I, World War II, the conflict in Korea, and have continued to serve in our armed forces. Korean Americans, like immigrants to the United States before and after them, have taken root and thrived as a result of strong family ties, robust community effort, and support and countless hours of hard work. They have made significant contributions to the economic vitality of the United States and to the global marketplace. The population of Korean Americans in Georgia has increased 95% in the last decade, making them an important and integral part of communities across this state, to include Senate District 48, which is my district. More than 100,000 Korean Americans call Georgia home, and Korean is the third most spoken language in our state. I am honored today to get to rise to recognize them, having served with them myself in the military, and I'm very, very proud to have this as Korean American Day. My second point of privilege goes to a more personal note, which is Senate Bill 48. You've heard other senators speak about dyslexia. I stand before you a person of dyslexia, and the only reason I stand before you is through the work of my mother. Back when I was little, and I know I don't look very old, I hide it quite well, there were no resources at all for dyslexic children. I struggled immensely. I could not read until about the 5th grade. It was extremely difficult, and I cannot even express how much appreciation I have for my mother, Terry Gray Yost of Lizella, Georgia, who made it all possible for me. And I hope to pass that on to all Georgia's children through my sponsorship of Senate Bill 48, which efforts are being led by Senator from the 9th, and I'm proud to sign along with him to help move Georgia's children forward and help break the cycle of poverty that is tied with dyslexia. But for the grace of God and my education, I would still be poor. And it is through all those efforts that I genuinely appreciate the efforts of this body to identify those children to make sure that they have the opportunity to pursue their American dream. Thank you so much. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 34th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. I stand before you on today to remind you or let you know that 1909, the NAACP was founded in New York City by a group of black and white citizens committed to social justice. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People is the nation's largest civil rights organization. I had my moment in Black History Day already, and I spoke about John Dale Johnson, who was named Mrs. NAACP, who taught me how to ring doorbells and find out if those folk who were living there were registered to vote. As a child, I was with my Aunt Joan Dale Johnson, helping to register folk to vote. So it is my privilege to say happy birthday to the NAACP. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. Chair recognizes the senator from the 9th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today in gratitude to my colleagues who have recognized the work we're trying to do with SB 48. Our former senator from the 40th, I guess I can say his name now, Fran Miller, worked very hard in the off session to champion this bill, and I was very honored to be able to take up the cause. It's an issue that affects so many. However, I don't rise to speak to the merits of the bill. We'll do that hopefully in a few days. I rise today because my intention was to hopefully have the bill ready for passage today on Decoding Dyslexia Day, which I thought would have been very fitting. We weren't able to quite get it there at that point. However, in my rush to try to get that bill dropped, I left off and I was not able to get to one person who has worked very hard, and that is the senator from the 6th, who has done so much for this legislation, So she should be on the bill as a co-sponsor, and I wanted to give her full credit for the work that she's done, both with her son and also for the children of the state of Georgia. So I wanted to make sure that she gets that credit, and I wanted to formally apologize to her for that oversight. It was not intended. Thanks so much. I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. Moving on, you've got a consent calendar of privileged resolutions before you. Does any senators wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution on the consent calendar? The chair hears none, and the resolutions on the consent calendar are adopted. Are there any motions to withdraw and commit? At this time, I'd like to recognize a senator from the 53rd.
I move that the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Wednesday, February 13th, 2019.
Secretary will read our announcements.
Rules will meet upon adjournment in 450 of the Capitol. Appropriations, Criminal Justice and Public Safety Subcommittee will meet at 1 p.m. in 341 of the Capitol. Ethics will meet at 1 p.m. in 307 of the CLOB. Appropriations Judicial Subcommittee will meet at 2 p.m. in 341 of the Capitol. Regulated Industries and Utilities will meet at 2 p.m. in 450 of the Capitol. State and local government operations has been canceled. Banking and financial institutions will meet at 3 p.m. in Mez 1. Natural Resources and the Environment will meet at 3 p.m. in 310 of the CLOB. Agriculture and Consumer Affairs will meet at 4 p.m. in 450 of the Capitol. And Transportation will meet at 4 p.m. in 310 of the CLOB. That concludes the order.
Chair would like to recognize the senator from the 31st to make an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. Once again, I want to draw to your attention tomorrow morning, 7:15 a.m., room 107, our Legislative Prayer Fellowship. This is our members-only prayer fellowship. I know that many of you attend, and I know that you get as much out of it as I do, and I would encourage others of you, if you haven't joined us, please come by and join us tomorrow morning, 7:15. Thank you.
Chair would like to recognize the senator from the 36th for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we depart today to our committee hearings, I just want to remind people the Women's Legislative Caucus Luncheon is scheduled today upon adjournment in 514 CLOB. Hope to see you there.
The Majority Leader has moved that the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Wednesday, February 13th, 2019. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. Once again, the ayes have it. The Senate stands adjourned.